1.5 petrol is replacing the diesel. It's come after a gap. Just wanted to understand, this is an SUV. Of course, the market is moving towards petrol, but sometimes diesel is the core of SUVs. You had said that with the Brezza that, switch from diesel to petrol, you were not going to lose sales and it would be 1-to-1. Of course, we can't hold you to that with all the COVID situation throwing everything into a tiz. But how confident are you now with the with a petrol under the hood of the S-Cross?
Yeah, so I think we have showed during the course of the launch that we are very confident about this new refined K15 petrol engine. So much so that as you just mentioned, we are confident that it will do the volumes. In fact, many of the customers who used to wait for the petrol version for S-Cross, remember S-Cross had only the diesel version earlier. Lots of people have given us this feedback that they would ideally want a refined petrol and a powerful petrol vehicle in this category. And this is what the S-Cross does. Also, the earlier S-Cross, there was some feedback that it should be having an automatic transmission, and this one does have. So I think we are very confident of retaining not only our earlier numbers, but actually increasing them. And also remember, Hormazd, when you mention about the diesel versus petrol, even in the SUV category, you would have seen the recent data suggests that there is definitely a move towards petrol because of not only because of the prices of petrol and the diesel fuel coming closer, but also because the new petrol engines like the ones we have in Brezza and in this S-Cross are very powerful engines, giving a very adequate power. It's very refined, and that's the reason why Brezza petrol also has been so successful, going by the number of bookings that we have garnered in a very short period of time.
Right. So I'd like to, you've been talking about the engine, Shashank. I'd like to jump to Raman-san and just talk about the engineering changes. You had a diesel version with this car. Internationally, it also had a petrol. I think it was the M16 at that time. So this car has had a petrol in its life cycle, but not in India. What were the changes you needed to do? Was it very difficult, replacing the diesel with a petrol? Obviously, the architecture could take it. But if you could just run us through some of the challenges and how easy it was to kind of, just replace a powertrain.
Well, it was a new powertrain for the S-Cross for India. And of course, mounting changes had to be done. It has pendulum mounting. It gives refinement in terms of noise and vibration. And of course, the 4-speed automatic transmission, 5-speed manual transmission that has been mated to it. So both of them do a good duty for a vehicle like a S-Cross. And calibration changes for the BS6 compliance, and also for the progressive mild hybrid system which we have got, the smart hybrid system. So it's a 2-battery system which is there. So that was also something which we had to do the calibration for. It gives torque assist as well as regeneration and start-stop, and gives a good fuel efficiency of.
Right. And obviously you're using the same engine as the Vitara Brezza, but this is a heavier car, it's a different car. So on gear ratios, was that completely all new? Because I don't suppose you could use the same set of ratios.
Hormazd gear ratios are common, so to speak. Yeah.
Okay, but maybe final drive or something. Right.
Yeah.
Got it. Yeah. So, Raman-san, I just want to stick with you. Now, with SUVs, there's a trend towards turbo-petrols because it's for the torque, it's for that mid-range punch, which SUV buyers come to expect. Sense one gets is you are, continuing with naturally aspirated engines, and while the outputs and all are fine, in terms of power characteristics, and especially now that diesel is gone, people, feel that you need to get that replacement of that feel with a strong mid-range which a turbo gives. So, I mean, you've chosen the naturally aspirated route. So just wanted to get your thinking on this sort of strategy. Others are going towards turbo petrol. I mean, they also have naturally aspirated, but you're sticking to just natural aspiration.
Yeah. We've seen, we have a booster jet engine which we had, 1-liter DITC, which did duty on the Baleno RS. It was a very niche volume, and our market research which showed very clearly that people prefer a higher size engine compared to a downsized engine. So from that perspective, 1.5 liter was something which we felt would be, would be better for the S-Cross customers. And also we don't do high revving, driving like in Europe. So I think that also makes a lot of difference, because on the low end, you would have issues till the turbo kicks in. So those kind of issues would be there definitely. So natural aspirated would give a more linear performance for the customer, especially in the city drive, and it's a urban SUV vehicle. So that would do good duty is what I feel.
But you've got also, let's say, getting on the technology, you've got to be honest, an old school 4-speed auto. The move is towards CVTs, DCTs. Again, do you feel that you are getting the efficiency from the 4-speed auto, because inherently it's not as efficient as, let's say, a twin clutch or even a CVT? So just to understand how you've managed to kind of the combination of 1.5 natural aspiration with a CVT, with a normal 4-speed 80 torque converter auto. How has that worked, and was there a lot of calibration needed to be done to get the requisite fuel efficiency?
Well, what I would say is that because of the progressive smart hybrid technology which we have got, it does give a good fuel efficiency, even the 4-speed 80, and it does good duty for a urban or a city use drive, and does do duty even in the highway drive. And from a fuel efficiency perspective, the manual transmission is 18.55 and the automatic transmission is 18.43. So there's hardly any difference as far as the fuel efficiency for the customer is concerned. So the impact is very, very minimal, or actually non-existent for the customer. So I think the customer would definitely look at the fuel efficiency which is being given on the 4-speed 80. And that's one key consideration set for the 80 customer, that there should not be a impact on the fuel efficiency. Usually it's about 10-15% from the manual transmission, which is not here actually in the S-Cross 80.
Right, and what you had said is obviously natural aspiration and the automatic being fuel efficient. Customer this is what they want. So clearly, I think proof of the pudding will be in the sales finally, and how the car performs. And that's I'd like to turn back to Shashank on that. Shashank, the car has been, let's say this is your flagship product right now. I mean, may not be your largest volume, but flagship, very, very significant. It does a lot for the brand. You move towards petrol, you move towards auto. Do you see a different kind of now consumer set coming in? You had earlier mentioned that people wanting a petrol SUV, a more kind of urbane, a more sophisticated customer who wants a little bit more refinement and is going to be more city bound. Just to get your sense of who the customer is going to be for this, and is this also a way to try and push the brand a little bit more upmarket as you go along?
Yeah, sure. I think it's a very valid question. We are going to position it as the urban SUV, a refined SUV. It's powerful yet sophisticated. And I think that group of customers who are outdoorsy or who are adventurous, at the same time aspirational and urban, those are the customers who would prefer this kind of vehicle. Remember, Hormazd, a large chunk of customers in this category, they really want something which is refined yet powerful. They want something which is luxurious yet adventurous. This is the ideal car for them. And that is why we are so confident that with this growing segment, this S-Cross will give us the volumes, actually would give us volumes which would do justice to the quality and to the position that this car should actually be at.
Right. And the last question, Shashank, which I'd like to end with you is, you've launched this car in the midst of a pandemic, very unprecedented time. Obviously, launches have to go on, which is part of, the way the auto industry does business. Do you think there's a bit of a concern? Because clearly, with affordability probably going to be an issue going forward. The world has become poorer. That's a given. People will be looking at, let's say, not spending so much. Clearly it plays to your strength, which is below 10 lakhs, in the sub 10 lakh market, and maybe even sub 7 lakh market. In terms of timing, are you a little concerned about this? So expectations are going to be modest going forward before it finally picks up. So just wanted to understand what you feel is a potential for this and the segment going forward.
Yeah, so Hormazd, actually we displayed this car at the Auto Expo, and we were wanting to launch it earlier in the end of March. Because of this COVID thing, this was a little bit postponed. But remember, it is not, the launches are done, the vehicles are made with a very long time frame in mind. It is not as if that we are looking at a couple of months and therefore today the post just in the COVID times, it's not an ideal time to launch the vehicles. That's not the way we look at it, because we are looking at it long term. Also, as regards the volumes which you are saying, yes, their consumer research does suggest, the behavior of the consumer suggests that there will be a telescoping of demand downwards. But remember, that doesn't mean an evaporation of demand for different segments, because segment demand might be coming down, but there would always be a great demand for every segment actually coming from the one above. So I think every brand in our portfolio plays a role not only to enhance the overall image of the brand itself, but also the volumes. And certainly with the S-Cross and the Brezza in this entire SUV lineup, starting from the entry-level SUV, which is the Brezza for us, and also the mid SUV upwards, which is the S-Cross. I think combined, we will try to achieve our volume objectives as we go forward for the rest of the year.
Well, with that, just want to wish you all the best. Of course, these are challenging times, and of course, a new product always has some level of excitement, and hopefully that stimulates the market, gets people back to buying cars. So, wish you all the best, and thanks so much for talking to us. Thanks, Shashank, thanks, Raman. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you, Hormazd.
Hormaz.